Now let's look at how the different hormones fluctuate during the 28 days. For follicle stimulating hormone, this hormone only starts to peak or only starts to rise to develop the follicles. So this can only happen when the menstrual cycle begins. When you start to bleed, then that tells your body that then that would be the signal to increase FSH so that your ovary would be stimulated to develop more follicles. So in the beginning, when bleeding first started, it would remain low and it would increase slightly somewhere near the ovulation. After that, it remains low because there is no need to stimulate development of follicles after ovulation. The next hormone, we will be looking at luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone, the function of this hormone is to stimulate ovulation to happen and stimulate the development of corpus luteum after ovulation. So ovulation happens in day 14. So for the level of luteinizing hormone, it remains very low throughout the menstrual cycle and only peaks at a very high level during the day 14, during ovulation day. Next one, we will look at estrogen. The function of estrogen, as mentioned in the last video, is that it increases the thickness of the uterus lining. So right after you have the first day of menstruation, after menstruation is done, then the uterus lining will start to build. That building is stimulated by the estrogen. So estrogen would rise and remain at a relatively high level even after ovulation. So that would stimulate the uterus lining to continue to be built. For progesterone, our last hormone, for progesterone, the function of progesterone is to build and maintain the lining. So maintenance of the lining, it would only happen after ovulation. So the level of progesterone remains very low. Right after ovulation, it would increase and remains high. And the purpose of progesterone is to maintain the uterus lining. So if the level of progesterone is high, then you would have maintenance of the uterus lining. If the level of progesterone drops, the uterus lining does not have any hormone to hold it anymore, so the wall will start to shed. So that is how menstruation happens again. To combine all of them, so this will be a combination of all hormones. So looking at FSH, combining what we have learned for luteinizing hormone, same goes for For estrogen, and lastly, we have the level of hormone for progesterone. So there you go. These are the levels of all the 4 hormones during the whole menstrual cycle. So you can go ahead and fill in the table here. So FSH remains low and only peaks right before ovulation, although the level would remain as at a low level. For luteinizing hormone, it would peak also somewhere during ovulation, where you would have a sudden high level of luteinizing hormone. Estrogen slowly increase from day 1 to 14 and maintains after day 14. Now, progesterone only increases after day 14 and remains high from day 14 to 28. That is